What happens when an avoidant regrets breaking up with you? When you date an avoidant or when you break up with an avoidant, it's very, very hard to know what they're up to know what they're thinking. We feel they are strangers, we feel we don't know them anymore. But yes, in some cases, they regret breaking up with you if they had a loving relationship with you. This is what we'll discuss today in this video, and how to bring them to a phase where you can finally speak with them. You can finally work things out. Jiggle.
IGetMyExBack.com. Everyone deserves a second chance.
So the initial reaction is they're released. They're relieved, reaching their comfort zone. I'm on my own, I can do whatever I want. I don't need to depend on anyone, right? They have a huge desire to be independent. They love to be independent. And sometimes the way they take the decision to break up or rationalize their decision to break up with you is they will focus on the flaws of the relationship, on your partner's flaws, the fact that, I don't know, you have really weird habit, that you have this beige handbag, that you have a weird way of eating your salad or stuff like that. And of course, they assume that they are going to be better off alone. That's the initial reaction. I'm going to be better off alone. I can do my own thing. I don't have these annoying things, annoying habits, annoying behaviors around me anymore. Life will be great. And then there's the realization of their mistake. This is when they have conflicting emotions. This is where they had this assumption, I don't really have feelings for that person. I'm not really into that person. They try to convince themselves. And then when you're not in the picture, when they're alone, things will change. They will start over-evaluating the relationship. The phenomenon of phantom X, for instance, where they will idealize the person. They will obviously question their own judgment and ask themselves, what have I done? They won't say it to you, but they will think to themselves, what have I done? And so there's always this self-doubt and regret really around questioning their decision making. Why am I always making those decisions? Why am I always detaching to those relationships so quickly? Why am I always self-sabotaging relationship? That person, she did nothing to me. She's the person, we got along, it worked well, but I always find myself breaking up with my partner. And so very often what happens, it will have an impact on their self-esteem, thinking like, there's something wrong with me, right? There's something wrong with me. I want to stop repeating those patterns because I don't want this for my life. I want something else. I want to be able to share my life with someone. I want to have a family, to have kids, to do something with someone, to be a teammate rather than being on my own like I was when I was a child. And so what happens is that they will very often isolate themselves from the world. They might withdraw, really be with themselves, because that's how they self-soothe, that's how they feel safe. It's a defense mechanism that comes from their childhood. And this is why it's hard for you to break and overcome this sort of shell, because they don't want to talk about the relationship. They want to really be on their own. They want to assess things on their own. Very often avoidant, they get stuck. And that's why it's always beneficial for them to speak with someone, so not with their ex, but with a therapist or with a trusted friend, to unpack those things, to help them understand, hold on, what you're doing is not helpful. What you're doing is preventing you from really learning. If you isolate yourself, if you stay on your own, that's going to prevent you from really learning. And so the avoidant paradox is there's this drive to correct mistake, but at the same time, they fear vulnerability. They are trapped between those desires. And so this is why you have this hot and cold behavior. This is why when you're in touch with someone after a breakup who has an avoidant attachment style, you have this hot and cold. One day they'll be super keen to see you, and then after the date, they ghost you. Then they send you a message, really keen to see you, you see each other, it works well, you have an exchange of messages, and then they disappear. And so what you have to understand that they need to overcome years of unconscious programming. their reality of relationship is based on those insecurities. It's based on this fear of commitment, this fear of intimacy, right? And this is very hard for them. When they reconnect with their ex, they will be like, yeah, I want to be with her, or I want to be with him. But then, oh, hold on, it's too much, it's too overwhelming. I don't know where I'm going, I don't want to commit. And so you will always have this back and forth situation, this hot and cold behavior. So you have to adapt your approach to the situation. Should you go no contact or not? It depends. No contact is an effective strategy. It works well with avoidant because it helps them it forces them to reflect. But it's important to assess which stage you're in, because if it's 6 months after the breakup, if it's 1 month after the breakup, if you've been in touch already, in some cases, people call me and ask me if they should go no contact. And it's clear that they have a good connection with their partner, it's progressing. There's no point going no contact at this stage. Some other situation is where, they get stuck, there's no progression, or they don't hear from their partner. Yes, sometimes in that case, no contact is efficient. If you want more guidance on your specific case, have a look in the description. You can book a discovery call with me and I'll sort of guide you on what should be your approach. I will also leave some documents, some ebooks or guides about no contact and how to maintain, how to plan your no contact effectively. Have a look, everything is in the description and you can book that. Doing that for you to learn, for you to grow, for you to get those insights and really learn from this breakup and potentially get the best outcome possible for you. So important to assess your relationship could impact avoidant traits. And so this avoidant anxious dynamic, you can diffuse this by learning about your attachment style, by learning how to be more secure, by also improving your communication, improving emotional regulation. That is usually what will drive those behaviors, those actions, those words, this communication, to really create that safe space for your ex. Now, can you get back with an avoidant ex? The short answer is obviously yes, otherwise I wouldn't have a job. But it's harder because of their internal battle with intimacy. It takes more time, I'm not gonna lie, it takes more time to get back with an avoidant because they really have to overcome those fear, those sort of construct that they have, and usually very much unconscious. And that can be very frustrating. And I know, having helped a lot of anxious people dating avoidant, it's frustrating. You need to provide a secure base. That's the only thing you can do. You also need to reinforce your boundaries. You also need to really understand what are the things you can accept and what are the things you can't accept. It's very important because usually when I have conversations with people, it's clear that at some stage they ended up in a situation that was not working for them. Ask yourself, if it was not that person, would you date someone who's doing those things, who's saying those things? Very often people tell me, no, not really. If I could choose someone, I wouldn't accept those things. So it's not because you're in love with that person or you have feelings for that person that you need to accept certain behaviors. I'm not talking about necessarily dating someone narcissistic, but there are always elements of toxicity in relationships. It's important to also, assess, really look, do a relationship inventory. Look at how you make relationship decisions, how and sort of the profile of people you fall in love with. And it's important because when you will get back together, when you'll be in the process of getting back together, I want you to be in a position to choose based on what's good for you. Not to choose because you want that person back, because you lost something that you loved, but based on something that works for you, that brings you fulfillment, that nurture your self-esteem, your respect, and so on and so forth. If you have any other question, let me know in the comment section. Take care of yourself. Bye-bye.